today it's the session regarding the design of key, and this is our second chapter in the series of machine design 1. Basically, this key we can define a small element which will engage the rotating shaft, and the element uh, in the periphery of shaft like gear, flywheel, pulley, or sprocket, or etc. So basic function of shaft can be defined in this way. It will transmit torque produced by mean of shaft to the hub. So this is the intermediate element which will transmit torque from shaft to hub. During the transmission of torque, it will prevent the relative motion between shaft and hub. So this is the prime function of a small element called as a key. Now where this key is located actually, to facilitate key, we should provide, or we have to machining some slot in the shaft, uh, or as well as hub. Sometimes it is only in the shaft or only in the hub, or generally maybe both side we can have slot in which we can uh, incorporate that keys, different types of key, and that slot is actually defined as a key vase or keyhole. See, this is the key vase. Now in that key vase we can insert that different types of key to fulfill this function. Generally key is made up by mean of ductile material. Generally it is a steel, and which is composite with carbon graded steel, 30% of carbon, C30 or C35, likewise C50, depending on the applications. And sometimes the key also made by mean of composite materials or certain alloys. If it is a corrosive application, then the brass based stainless steel key with the brass composition is used uh, in the corrosive environment, right? So this is basic idea about key. Now our objective is to design that key. See, the chapter itself called as a design of key or key design. When we referred as a design, so we are interested into identify the geometrical dimensions of key. So generally that geometrical dimensions are we can fixed based on the strength available in the material itself, and where it is the application of that key. Based on that application, the forces are acting on that key. So based on that we can decide the dimension of that key, and that is called as a design, right? Generally the key, the factor of safety is the provision for that key is generally in the range of 3 to 4. So that is what actually the reference for design. Now before we start to design parameter, we need to understand different types of keys. See, there are several types of keys are actually available. The few keys are actually highlighted over here, like we can list it in this sunk key or geeb headed key or feathers key or flat or saddle key or woodruff keys. So there are several, but these are general purpose used in this uh, shaft and hub mechanism. Now let's look very quickly one by one what individual keys look like and what is the difference between individual keys. So very common or simplest form of key, that is referred as a sunk key. This is what actually sunk keys look like, and through this key vase, this is the key vase accommodated in shaft as well as in the hub. This is the key vase provided. So this through this keyway slot we can insert this first type of key as well, like it is referred as it is known as a sunk key. So this sunk key is inserted in this keyholes. So through these keyholes it can actually provide the function of the transferring of motion from shaft to hub. So this is how it is look like from side view, and this is the cut section view of that sunk key. Having certain the dimension of that sunk key is defined by mean of breadth B and height H. So this is breadth and height is the dimensions in which we are interested to find out when we are talking about the design criteria. So this is called as a sunk key, simple rectangle three-dimensional element. If it is if it's have a square cross section, then it is referred as a square sunk key. And if it is having a rectangle cross section, then it is referred as a rectangle sunk key. Generally, see, to accommodate inside this slot, the key is provided with by mean of tapered. So general tapered is 1:100. That means by the 1:100 tapering ratio is provided along the axial length. And in the case of sunk key, when we design the sunk key, generally this sunk key is subjected to shear stress and crushing stress. These two different types of stress are experienced by mean of this sunk key. So that is we will look into later stage when we will design the sunk key. So right now it is not needed. Now next in list we are having the Gibbs headed key. That Gibbs headed key is one kind of sunk key in which we are actually providing the head or raised head. This is a simple some kind of sunk key in which at one end it's having a head or raised head with certain dimensions. It is simply provided this head for removal. See, for easy removal of a key, this head is used, and due to that, this head it is referred as a Gibbs headed key. So this is simple Gibbs headed key is one kind of sunk key only. Now next is feather key. Generally, this feather key is a special one. Particularly, it is integral part of shaft. See, this is the shaft. Within that shaft, this feather key is uh, fixed, and that fixation can be do by mean of a screw or certain uh, extension element on the both side. See, in the both side, this element will restrict the uh, uh, come out during the operation. It will restrict the come out from this slot. So this is some kind of permanent fixture, and during that fixture they will taken care for this axial moment. So that is a little bit of axial moment can be possible during the operation in case of feather key. So this is feather key. After the feather key, the one is referred as a Woodruff key. This Woodruff key is also one kind of sunk key, but instead of rectangle cross section, it's having a semicircular kind of shape. Right, this is the semicircular kind of shape which will inserted in the keyways, and in which the keyway also or some kind of semicircular shape. So generally it is used where the shaft having a larger tapered nature. See, the shaft itself having suppose tapered. So in that tapered, we can provide the keyways, and that in that keyways, this kind of Woodruff key can allowed to sleep inside that semicircular passage. The cross section of semicircular Woodruff key is this like this only. It's having certain amount of thickness. So by that semicircular shape, it can tilt and align itself during the operation. So this is one kind of key that is called as a Woodruff key. The next is lat key and saddle key. These two are almost similar. These are not kind of sunk key, but see what is the difference In this flat key or saddle key, there is no need to provide the keyways either in shaft or sometimes in generally in shaft. Generally in the shaft, there is no need to provide the keyways. Instead of that, only in the hub itself, the keyways are provided. In that keyways, this flat key will be inserted. That flat key having this much of dimension, see, this is the rectangle flat key having a dimensions referred as a breadth B, and instead of height t, they have thickness, that is t by 2, that is the half of the thickness generally used in this sunk key, right? So in the sunk key, half of the portion is actually inserted in this shaft and half of the portion is actually having a contact in this hub. But in case of flat or saddle key, in case of flat key, only hub having a key slot inside that flat key is inserted. Now this flat key entirely depend working based on friction between this shaft surface and the key surface. If the shaft carrying a very low amount of load, then this kind of key is generally applicable, and this friction is sufficient to transmit load, that is lower amount of load or lower amount of torque from shaft to hub. But if it is a larger amount of load or torque generated within the shaft, then definitely there will be a chance of slippage, that is called the slip. So this, because there is no slot are provided, it is only due to friction this key is sticking with this shaft. Now to improve this friction, the separate types of keys referred as a saddle key. It is also one kind of flat key, but instead of flat surface, bottom flat surface, it's having a concave surface, which is exactly having similar profile to that shaft outer profile. So it will fixed, it will fitted and having a better grip and having a better friction. And due to that better friction, without providing any key slot or keyways in the shaft, the function of transmission of torque can be possible by means of this kind of saddle key. So this is what saddle key, but I said that the drawback of saddle key is what actually when you are working with higher amount of load, definitely it will slip out and the transmission loss will happen. But the benefits is something like that. See, because there is only friction between this surfaces will reduce the stress concentration compared to that sunk key, that we can understand in the later stage, because see how the stress will experience in by mean of sunk key compared to that sunk key, this key will have less amount of stress and strain concentration, which will give the structural advantages, right? So this is what actually saddle key. Now, so far we are having this many types of keys are having different applications, and based on that application we can choose the this any kind of key. But generally this first one called as a sunk, that is rectangle or square type of sunk key is widely used in the industry or in the application of transmission of power through shaft to gear or sprocket or any other, right? So let's stick our topic with sunk key only. So this is our next target, to discuss about how can we design the sunk key, basically square sunk key and rectangle shape of sunk key. Now when we refer to the design of key, definitely we are having the dimension in our mind, that is the breadth and height as well as the length of that key, which is required to transmit the motion and transmit the power without the failure, right? So this is what actually the objective is. This is a mention over here. Generally, sunk key is widely used with the dimensions of height h, and dimensions that is breadth b. And when the shaft is rotating, it will create a torque, and that torque will transmit uh, through the key to the hub. So when this torque is applied to this key will experience the force P. Here it is represent F, but let's refer as a P. Force P, amount of P force is actually applied when the shaft is rotating in this clockwise direction. This surface will experience force P, and the opposite force will experience by mean of, see, this opposite side is actually fitted into the hub, so that will experience the opposite forces, same amount of forces P. Now see, the amount of torque transmitted from shaft to hub is given by mean of this equation. See, torque is what? Force into radial distance. This is a very prime equation. So force in this case, let's say force P is generating. So that force P multiplication with that radial distance. So radial distance is obviously the shaft is generating a torque. So that radial distance of shaft we need to consider. So that radial distance is nothing but d by 2. Right. So this is the total amount of torque we need to transmit from shaft to hub, and during that transmission, what is the required dimensions uh, uh, to to avoid the failure. That is what our objective is. Now when you wish to transmit this much amount of torque, we need to understand the fundamental of how the material will fail. So when it is a sunk key, the failure will occur due to two different possibilities. See, this is the detailed diagram in which this, let's say, m subscript t amount of torque we need to transmit. So that torque will transmit through this key. Right now it is a square cross-sectional key, let's say, having certain breadth b and height h, and this p amount of force is experienced when it is rotating in this direction. It will experience on this AC side, and on the opposite side, this db side will be connected on this hub. So equal and opposite forces are applied, that is called as a that is we denoted as a capital P. So due to that capital P force, the two different phenomena will be generated for the failure. See, the failure of this rectangular key or square key will due to this two phenomena. That is, one is referred as a due to shear failure, and another one is we can say is a crushing failure. Now what actually shear failure is? See, this key made up of solid material. So when that solid material having the forces on both sides, so sides, see, this is the force P acting on this lower side A to C, and this is the force P acting on the upper side, that is B to D. So that are equal and opposite. Because of that two equal and opposite direction force within the layer of solid material, it will experience the shearing action. What I already mentioned, what actually shearing action. You can compare this shearing action by the viscous nature of fluid. See, viscosity means what actually? See, viscosity means when the two layer of fluid will travel with a different velocities, because they are having different pressure, and due to that different pressure they have different velocity, and because of that two different velocity, because of that relative velocity, the layer between two layer, there are a shearing action will generated, right? And that shearing action is generating the force is called as a shear force in case of liquid. In the similar way, in case of solid, if two forces are equally acting at a different location, let's say this is the one layer of solid and this is the second layer of solid, so both layer of solids are actually experience the different uh, direction force, and due to that different direction force, the common plane experience the shearing action, and that is that due to that shearing action, maybe this material will fail, maybe this key will be fail. So that is one probability. Due to shear force or due to shearing action, the failure will occur. Next, the second cause for the failure is that is called the crushing force. So this crushing force, that means from equal and opposite both, when the both forces are applied, this particular surface experience force, and on the opposite side that particular surface experience the force, and they both are opposite, and in that case yeah, this entire he experienced the crushing nature. That means it will squeeze or crush, and due to crushing phenomena, it can fail. So these are two possibilities. Two different stresses are acting. Two different types of stresses are generating. This shear and shear stress basically generating in this shear plane. Now I will show you where exactly shear plane will be, and this crushing stress will be acting on this dashed area. That is also I will show you where exactly that crushing plane and where exactly that shear plane. Now you need to understand the two different forces, two different types of phenomena are responsible for the failure of the key, rectangle key, and that two different forces are generally acting on two different planes. Which are two different planes? So these are the first, these are the shear plane which will experience the shear stress, and due to that shear stress might be this key will be failed. So this is one responsible phenomena. Second responsible phenomena, that is crushing phenomena, that is, see, this bottom and opposite side top surfaces are actually experience the crushing force or crushing stress, and due to that also this entire uh, key can be failed. So now, based on these two phenomena, let's try to find out the mathematical correlation. So for this, what is the amount of shear stress for this particular for this particular key that can be given by mean of this shear stress is simply a load by area. Obviously, shear stress, that is force by area. Now in this case of when we are referring shear stress, that shear stress is actually acting in the shear area. So what is the shear area? It is having a length of L, and having a width of B. So that shear area we can elaborate by mean of B multiplied by L, and the total amount of forces that already we mentioned denoted by mean of capital P is the force acting on this key. Now this P already we elaborated. This P can be defined. See, this is the P force can be defined. P is equal to this torque, transmitted torque mt divided by d by 2. So let's isolate that P and put in this equation of stress. So when you isolated that P and you put into this equation mt by d by 2, mt d by 2, and the already B into L is existing. So this will give you the very prime equation for the shear stress experienced by this shaft due to shearing action in this particular plane. Tau is equal to 2 multiplied by that mt is the torque divided by dBl. So this is the first equation, will give you shear stress. Now I mentioned that the second possibility for failure is crushing stress. Now that crushing stress ultimately it is one kind of compressive stress. See, it is acting on this two opposite plane, and due to that two opposite action, this key will experience the compressive nature, compressive stress, and that compressive force, compressive stress can be given by this fundamental equation, load by area. That stress is ultimately load by area. So load ultimately we already mentioned that is denoted by mean of capital P, and area. So where that crushing or where that compressive stress is actually experiencing, that is experiencing in this crushing area, crushing plane. So this crushing plane is the half. This is the length into this the height. So this height is actually total height is h, and it will experience in the half. So h by 2, right? So that h by 2 will give h by 2 into L will give the surface area on which the crushing stress, the cut section area ultimately, in which the stress is actually compressive stress is actually acting. Now that when you open this P in the similar way, the mt by d by 2. So 2 multiply with 2 will become 4. So your equation will become 4mt divided by dhl. It will give the compressive stress or the stress that is also referred as a crushing stress. Now this equation number 3 referred as a stress equation for crushing phenomena, and this equation number 2 referred as a stress equation due to the shear stress phenomena. Two are probable causes for the failure, and based on that, so these two are actually a probable cause for the failure and also referred as a stress equation, but it is this stress equation is for rectangle sunk key. Say why it is rectangle? Because it's having a breadth b and having a height h. If this breadth b and h will be equal, then it referred as a square key. When this breadth b and height h will equal, then that type of sunk key is actually referred as a square sunk key. So the above equation number 2 and 3 will converted in this form. When you put this b is equal to h, then it is converted in this form. It is particularly for square type of sunk key, where tau, that is stress, is 2mt by dBl, and that compressive stress is equal to 4mt by dBl. What it conclude that? It conclude that it is always found that this compressive stress or crushing stress is always 2 times of that shearing stress. Generally, see, with the help of this square key relation, this is the conclusion that if we, even though if it is not provided that if we even though we are not able to calculate that shearing stress, then with the help of crushing stress, we can assume that crushing stress is always 2 times higher than the shearing. So this is the correlation between shear stress and compressive stress with the help of this square sunk key. Now this is what this two equation referred. This two equation is ultimately give the total amount of force or stress generated within the key. Either it is rectangle or either it is square in form of tau and sigma, that is shear stress or compressive stress. Now, when we refer to the design of key, definitely we are interested to find out the dimensions. The dimensions is either this length or width or height h. So let's move to that. So basically, the length. Let's choose the length. The length equation of key can be derived in this way. Let's say, see, for the key, the shear stress equation can be given in this way. See, tau is equal to 2mt by dBl. Just now we derived that, the shear stress equation. So from that shear stress equation, we can isolate the total amount of torque. Mt is the torque experienced by that key. So torque can be given by mean of tau b dl divided by 2. So this is the torque equation, torque experienced by that key. Now from the previous chapter of the shaft, see, in the shaft we already derived one equation, the stress generated by mean of shaft, the shear stress generated by mean of shaft, that is given by 16 mt by pi d cube. If you recall your previous chapter, the shear stress generated within the shaft is given by this equation. So in that, this mt is the torque experienced by that shaft. So that torque, let's isolate that torque. So equation is in this form, pi tau d cube divided by 60. Now this is the torque experienced by shaft, generated by shaft ultimately, and this is the torque experienced by key. Now this is the same torque. See, the shaft ultimately transmit the torque to the key. So to avoid the failure, or not the failure, but these two terms are almost equal, because how much amount of torque generated by shaft, it is ultimately transmit to the key. So this mt, when you equating these two equation a and b, for that let's refer that very first diagram. See, this is the total amount of torque generated by mean of shaft, and that torque is ultimately transmit to this key. So both are equal and opposite. So let's equate that two equations. When you equate that two equations, definitely when you simplify the equation, you will get the length equation. This is called as a length equation, which will give the relation between the geometrical relation between diameter of that shaft and the breadth of that key. So this is referred as a length equation for sunk key, where we can use these equations. See, we can use this equation in this way. Generally, it is found that, see, let's again check the square key. Generally, it is found, see, in the square key, the breadth and height is equal, right? Now, generally, it is found that the height or breadth is quarter of the diameter of shaft. It is general perception. See, if it is this is the diameter of shaft, and generally this height of or breadth of the key is 1/4 of the diameter of shaft. If that is the case, then let's put this everything in this length equation. See, length equation is what actually pi d square by 8b. Now instead of b, we can also put h, or instead of h we can put d by 4. Now we know that breadth generally equal to d by 4. So by putting that, let's simplify it, so it will give you the pi d by 2. So pi is the constant, 2 is the constant. Let's elaborate that. So this this will ultimately the normal correlations between the diameter and length. So generally, the length of the square key, it is for the square key generally. So for the length of the square key, if you wish to transmit full amount of power, then your shaft must be 1.5 times of the diameter. So this is the length, the correlation between length and diameter, the correlation between this length and diameter. Length of this key, how much amount of length of key is always 1.57 times of the diameter. So it will give the, but obviously the assumptions or the consideration for this height and breadth is what? The height and breadth generally it is 1/4 of the diameter, and the length is generally 1.57 times of the diameter. So that is how we can derive the dimensions of the key. The dimensions is obviously h, b, and that l length.